Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Asafe Faria. I have a master's degree in political science and a bachelor's degree in international affairs.
I am Mônica Faria. I am PhD student in law at University of Coimbra.
And we both are going to talk about the importance of trust and transparency of intentions and of actions between Brazil and its European partners so that we can have a better international cooperation around environmental issues, in particular the Amazon rainforest. So our work is divided in three parts. And the first part is just to talk about the concept principle of good faith, which is a principle of international law that requires transparency of intentions between two signing parts of any treaty or agreement. And transparency is essential because both or more partners must know what the other part seeks to achieve, their true motivations, because this affects if a part in any international agreement will decide to participate or not. And trust is something that is built with time, and in order for it to exist and to be preserved, it's essential that there is a consistency between discourse and practice, between what is said and between what is done by any state or any other agent involved. The problem we are going to mention between the current relations between Brazil and Europe revolves around the issue of illegal commerce of raw materials from the Amazon rainforest, which demonstrate that private economic interests affect in a negative way. They harm the partnership between Europe and Brazil in their common efforts to protect the Amazon rainforest, because these raw materials continue to be sold and bought in European countries. And this commercial activity indicates that not enough things are being done to curtail, to stop these illegal activities that harm the environment. So, because whenever there are buyers, there is a stimulus for the crime to continue happening. And it's up to the ending part of the trade market to curtail the consumer, while Brazil which is the source of these raw materials, it's up to Brazil to go after the criminals who are doing the illegal extraction and exportation. Also, a problem that we currently face has to do with some diplomatic tensions because of the recent crisis of widespread fire in the Amazon and in the Pantanal, because the Brazilian government has been accused of inaction or not proper action to tackle the fires. And in light of that, some European countries even suspended their contribution to the Amazon Fund. And meanwhile, other European countries are threatening to hinder the implementation of the Mercosur-European Union agreement. And I believe this sort of attitude is harmful to good relations between Brazil and Europe, and they in any way contribute to foster cooperation in favor of the environment.
Now we will talk about two specific cases of illegal importation of Brazilian raw materials. First, we'll talk about the Archimedes operation. The shipment of several containers that to follow it abroad, including for some European countries, as revealed by the federal policy in partnership with the Brazilian Institute of Environment and Renewable Natural Resources, IBAMA, and the Federal Public Ministry, through so-called Operation Archimedes. It seems to be hidden from the international community. And this kind of illegality is not new to anyone, how shows the announcements and reports from Greenpeace years ago. Another is the case of illegal trade of Brazilian minerals. In July of this year, the federal policy through Operation Graça also dismantled the illegal diamond mining in the Roseville Indigenous Territory in the state of Rondônia. It was learned that the diamond trade was subjected to evaluation by the intermediary until they were sold in jewelry stores, mainly in São Paulo and abroad, in countries such as France, Italy, and Switzerland, even ignoring the Kimberley process. The criminal scam involved many workers in mining, indigenous leaders, financiers, appraisers, traders, and intermediaries who established the connection between suppliers and the Brazilian and international consumer markets.
So, in light of all this criticism that Brazil has recently suffered from some European leaders, it's important to highlight the Brazilian efforts in tackling criminal activities in the Amazon, even including the fight against the fires.
To clear up any doubts about the Brazilian action and its efforts in the Amazon, the Brazilian Vice President General Mourão, with the help of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, made a 3-day trip to the Amazon with ambassadors of European states that cooperate with the Amazon Fund, taking the opportunity to discuss issues about illegal trade of Brazilian raw materials by European companies in order to achieve European cooperation to solve problems like this. The Brazilian efforts. The Brazilian state, in defense of its sovereignty and protection of natural territory and its natural wealth, has taken steps to prevent illegal actions and exploitation like this from continuing to occur. To this end, it created the National Council of the Legal Amazon, whose function is to coordinate sectoral actions related to the preservation, protection, and sustainable development of the Amazon. Among its goals is the control of deforestation and burning, in addition to meeting the global goals signed by Brazil, such as the Paris Agreement. In addition, special operations were established with the Brazilian Army. The Guardians of Amazon application was created for denunciations and to facilitate interaction between society and inspection agencies in the protection of the forest and others. Constructive criticisms related to what effectively belongs to Brazil regarding the implementation of its environmental policies in accordance with the ratified international agreements are welcome and totally valid. However, it is a fact that there are some unfounded criticisms seeking to remove the international credibility that the Brazilian state has built over several years, including for the implementation of the Mercosur European Union Agreement. Now, we put some recommendation. With a view to more effective international cooperation, it is expected that the foreign countries involved, even the European countries, even indirectly in this illegal trades, you act strongly to prevent the continuity of these actions, which are so damaging to the environmental society and the Brazilian state itself. More important than seeking to tarnish Brazil images and credibility with the strongest speech on the international scene, these countries involved indirectly should demand and to act in their trade relations the effective application of the relevant European Union standards, in order to restrain all and any illegal ingress of Brazilian raw materials into their territory. In conclusion, for several years, the Brazilian state has made valuable bilateral, multilateral, regional, and global partnerships in international cooperation for achieving sustainable development. However, the principle of cooperation, when put into practice, cannot be dissociated from another principle, that of transparency, in order to ensure that all parties are in the same fair conditions of negotiation. This is why goodwill must be shown between the cooperating parties, establishing mechanisms for communication, providing clarifications, periodic meetings, and defining plans and goals for building stronger and more transformative cooperation partnerships, and create a strong cooperation mechanisms to identify and suppress illegal trade in raw materials in order to avoid distrust and attacks for anywhere that only serve to weaken international relations and dedicate their efforts to protecting the Amazon forest and achieving the goals of sustainable development and the climate change agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you.